Hi Corey. I watched the video regarding the theory of everything and I enjoyed it very much. And I've since watched the video that you made regarding that video and I also enjoyed your comments. At the beginning of that video, the man has this to say. And so on to some dialogue. For me personally, the video is one of the best explanations I've ever heard, at least to date, on the subject of everything and its insights into the human brain and consciousness. Simply put, what I hear and see it saying is that in regards to the brain, there is this left and right hemisphere interaction which is not in wholeness with itself, I guess is the best way to put it. It's there's either too much of this side or too much of this side and not enough of both. In other words, we're not working with our brains in the most suitable, practical manner, and a lot of that has to do with the genetics and our upbringing, etc, etc, rah-de-rah. The point being is that if we can learn to train our minds, train our brains to make bridge connections between the two hemispheres, we have a better instrument in which consciousness can work through. That's one of the things I'm saying here. So it's in that sense, a personality who can train the brain to work as one organ rather than two separate sides battling it out for some kind of, I don't know, it's like being in two minds, you know. It's can't make up your mind, that kind of thing. If we can learn how to help the brain become one entity, one thing, then we can utilize that brain much more effectively in how we externalize that thinking data process into our shared reality, life on earth, our neighbourhood, and learning to, in that sense, become individual, but in recognition of the fact that we share the same consciousness. It's just in a different unit of individuality, and to move away from thinking in terms of duality, which is much of why the world is the way it is at present. But things are changing as the internet becomes even a more useful tool in our celebration of its general freedom, generalized freedom, starts to lose its impact. We can then see it as a tool which is showing us that we are indeed connected on, and this is a physical representation. The internet is a physical representation of that otherwise invisible connection we have with each other. And I think the future is showing us that we can potentially, as individuals, work as a collective entity. Also, we can then discover that this inside, outside, internal, external is also a product of duality, of thinking dualistically, black, white, love, hate, rah, rah, rah. When we are one mind, when we are one focus, we then can see that our external is and our internal synchronize. So what's happening outside of us as individuals in the world is in sync with what's happening in here, in this grey matter here. So there's a correlation, a coherent, co-creative correlation. We are like swimming in consciousness. We are consciousness. And so it's being, I guess, in sync but happy with who we are, and then putting that out there, happy with who you are, who she is, who he is, as this works within each of us who are learning to be of one mind. And we can also see that consciousness can be seen to have a purpose simply by examining the history of its mind print, if you like. It has left a trail in its wake to which we can study. That is history, but it's also without the added twist or spin of biasness. So we can look and see why we are, or at least what we are and where we are potentially heading as that consciousness, as that thing alive on this planet. I think that's all I need to do for now. In regards to where I think consciousness is heading, it's heading towards making forms which are more able to house consciousness without this duality thing going on, which could mean sort of exobot, robot type machine and biological coming together, which science is definitely working upon making happen. And that is consciousness working its way. It's not all about the wars or the races or the cultures or the religions or all of those other things that are separate. They're still part of consciousness, but they're all separate and in many ways against each other and working against. It's like consciousness working against itself. Within that very real thing, aspect of consciousness, within there is another aspect of it which is learning to understand itself, learning to drop these beliefs, learning to work with its wholeness, with its internal, external, on a balance and coherent, and going somewhere which isn't self-destruction and obliviation, preserving the seed of consciousness, if you like. So I'll leave it at that anyway. Thank you.